Come on. Where's my fucking Zoom?
Okay, it's 6 minutes after, so I guess people could trickle in as they wish. And so I like to get things rolling. First, I want to thank our guest artists again for showing up and being willing to share experiences, and then also thanks to Lyndon for fighting to make this happen. Pretty much, it's a resource for all of us. But he was like, "Come on, man, shit, when we gonna do this thing?" And so it's just like in the spirit of that, trying to make sure that we respond to wishes of others.
Year.
Things happen in the world. So, but this is happening now. So, thank you, Lyndon, for pushing that. And then, Daryl's in the space too. Daryl's been working in the background to support this as well. So, kudos to.
Turn your camera on, white boy.
Cameras can be on or off, but everybody have their own way. But it'd be nice to see faces when we can. So again, thanks everybody for jumping in. Hopefully we have more people join in. It's a great opportunity for to connect with another artist that's working out in the world in a different capacity and different ways. It's nice to hear from different people, to hear their perspectives. And so that's what this space is about. And so, tune in, take notes, and we are definitely wanting to be open to suggestions that people have for future, artists to come in and talk to the community, to share resources and share knowledge for the most part. So keep that in mind as we're going through this experience, like thinking about what it's meaning to you, this experience, and that there's a platform to share those feelings and feedback with us afterwards in the coming days. So now, without further ado, we have Miss Calida Rawles, who Lyndon introduced me to, and I was blown away. So as soon as he sent me the link, I clicked on my phone and was like, "Oh shit, this is awesome!" And then I read, I think it was Art News or Artist Talk article that I read through, and it was much equally impressive, the visual aesthetic of work, but then also the meaning behind the content and how you came to do this work and who you are as an artist. And so it was kind of great getting to know you in that way. And then you and I had a chance to talk the other day. And so it was quick, but it was nice. And it was just a chill conversation, and I can get your vibes and feelings. So it's great to have you here in the space. And we decided to format this in a way where Kalida's going to talk a little bit about herself, and then transition into I came up with some questions and then sent them to her, and so she approved them all. Kept some stuff, took some stuff out, so we edited it, and then now we have a list of questions that we're going to run through, and then we're going to open it up for anyone who has any kind of questions for Calida that she's willing to answer and share. We'll do that. So without further ado, I'll pass it over to Calida.
Hi, everybody.
Hey.
Thank you so much for having me. Hi, Corey. How are you? I'm sorry. I want to say thank you for having me. It's a blessing to talk about my experience with, fellow artists. But about myself, I'm an artist, hyper-realistic painter that lives and works in Los Angeles. My studio's in Inglewood. I have been doing these mostly large-scale works that use water as a part of my visual language. For me, water is a symbolic element of a space that deals with ambiguity. For me, and that's what really intrigued me with water, is the fact that it is something that I consider spiritually healing, but at the same time is something that is very dangerous. It's scary, and it has a cultural connection for us, from Middle Passage to segregation and laws that separated the Black body and Black people from something that is natural and is for all of us, water. And a lot of us, especially because of segregation laws, didn't have access to pools. It's something, especially a pool itself, was or is like a class distinction, who has a pool in their backyard, who has access to pools, who has access to water. And usually you're taught that from family, so it has a link to our experience of what you could even think of what generationally is taught to belong to us. And to me, water is just as basic as air. But we as Black people, a lot of times, this is a very comfortable space, right? We're all going to talk natural. It's like, I will talk to certain people and they'll be like, that's white shit. And you're like, really? Like, what? Like swimming?
Right.
But really it's a connection from race and class.
Yeah.
And then there is a weaving of that, of a conversation of race and class, and what we deny of ourselves is something that, going to the ocean, you meet a lot of people, even in LA, in certain neighborhoods, they never go to the beach. It's not something that is for us. And even I grew up on the East Coast. My father is from his family is from the Eastern Maryland shore. And because of the way he grew up and my uncles and the family, the beach might have been like a mile and a half from their place. They worked at the beach for summer vacations, but they didn't go to the beach because the beach was for leisure. Beach was a place that you could only go to on Thursdays at a certain time. So my family, that was like, forget them. We don't even want that anyway, right? Because they've been denied that. And just thinking of that mentality of something like you reject it sometimes, even for preservation of your own ego, right? And so it's like when I would talk to my uncles, like I would go and visit my family from California, and I go to the beach often. To me, when I tell my husband, we moved out here, these tax dollars in this space, I'm going to the beach a lot because I'm paying for that. We're going there a lot. My kids are going to go to the beach on Sunday randomly. Or do you want to bring a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? We're going to eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on the beach because I'm paying for that. And it is important for them to see it. And because I feel like even the sound, the smell, the energy is spiritually healing. I feel more relaxed. I can think more near water. I stay in the shower a little too long, for the earth, because I'm thinking in water. I swim and I feel like the silence and the sound is meditative. And all of those things I'm thinking about, and how much as a culture we deny ourselves with that. And so thinking about all of these things, no matter when, all of that is in my water. I think of that, if just putting a Black body in water says something, and then I could take it on another level. I can go even further, with an experience, an incident, a historical moment, or any other subjects. But if I did, that's just like my background, like the background color that I don't need to talk about, because all of that history and experience and our connection and our denial is there. And then I think of, what does my painting want to be about? So I'm trying to think of the multiple layers of thought as I'm creating. And then when I found water, and I don't know if many of you know, I learned to swim later. Like I grew up in Wilmington, Delaware. My mother did not know how to swim. I thought swim in a public pool. I would go to public pool with my cousins, my friends. I walk my towel down the street to the public pool. We jump in. And basically what I learned is not to drown, to get from one end to the other or get close to the wall. And I did that. And I thought I really knew how to swim. I came out to LA and I met like a parent, my daughter at the school. And I saw this friend of mine and she looked fantastic. Like she looked like she was in shape. And I was like, I need to lose weight. I just had this baby. What are you doing? She said, I swim at the master swim team at LMU. And I was like, I'm going to join. I got there, the coach put me in the water. I couldn't hardly get from one end to the other. And I was embarrassed. I almost held on to like the little floaty thing. I was like, shit, I have to come back. It's like, oh no, I may drown. This is going to be straight embarrassing. Why did I come to the master swim club? Like, what was I thinking of myself and my idea that I knew how to swim? I was that like delusional of my ability in water because I grew up thinking I could swim. And the woman looked at me when I got back, because I was like, I'm going to swim back. I can't like look stupid, right? And she just gave me a kickboard. She was like, just kick back and forth and don't do nothing else. And then slowly, I kept coming back, which she later told me she couldn't believe. I came back and I went twice a week until I learned to swim, until I started moving up the lanes, until I became one of the master swimmers. And that was something that I really knew for myself, my own ego. But in that water is when I really started thinking of my practice. Also, like how I felt before going in and in the end. When I left, all my issues seemed like not as a big deal. I'd be upset, arguing with my husband, my kids. Before I get in the water, I go swim and I come out and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm upset about. Like, what was that? And I thought, you know what? I could address difficult and divisive things that people sometimes are uncomfortable to talk about and make it lighter visually. Yes. Why not do that? And then, all those other things and the connections to water to me came out, and I started using my diary. I started writing it, thinking about it, and so that's where I began. Now I pull some art up. Let's see. Oh, wait. First I got to hold on. What am I doing? Let me screen share. I'll push that button first. Got some, I'm going to screen share this PDF I made of some of my work that Rondell goes with some of your questions.
Okay.
And you can either ask them or I'm going down the line and I can go with some work. What do you think? What if I just start?
You can go down.
I'm just going to keep talking. I'm just going to keep talking.
Yeah, you can go down.
Okay. So my first piece, that when I was just thinking about water and me, pushing the element, was this one. I found this picture of my niece, and I called it Little Swimmer. It's like 4x5, and I looked at this image. It was a photo originally that I was basing it off of, and I kept thinking, I want to feel like her. Like, I want my work to feel like this, and the complications of it. I really loved the bubbles, the movement. There is, now me as a painter, I am naturally hyper realistic. Like naturally my instinct will, I used to think my art was me as an artist before water became a part of my visual language. I thought that I was born in the wrong time period. So I was always trying to fight being my natural self of painting very like hyper realistically. Cause I was like, if you have a camera, why do you need me? Cause I like my instinct, even if like, I used to like drink wine. I was like, I'm just going to be tipsy and just see what I make. I'm going to make these abstract forms. And, the next day I come back and it looks just like the photo. Like that's my thing. So I was like, I have to let go. Now this one doesn't. I was at the point where I was trying to explore, figure it out, but I still love this painting. But this was the first one where I was like, okay, I got something. There is abstraction in reality with water. And that became fascinating to me. Like, I can look at photo references. I can look at the water and the break it does to the body and find abstraction. And I could play with the idea of realism and abstraction at the same time in the physical work. And that is when I was like, okay, with all of this other stuff going on, the history of water, me, my experience, what it does to me physically, how everyone comes to water with a different experience and lens, opens my work up to contemporary art, something where everyone can give their input and insight, where I'm not just telling someone almost like an illustration what I want them to see. And it becomes a dialogue between us. And I created this one. I felt like I showed this image when I first did it to my parents, and they could not see a figure at all. At all. They were like, and I don't know if other people can, just like the head there's like the bubbles in her hair and she's moving, but it was so much abstraction. My parents were like, what is that, Earth? What is that? And I realized my parents, because they're not around water or pools, do not know how abstract the body looks in water. And I thought that was fascinating. They couldn't. I was like, Mom, there's a head and underwater. You know how it breaks things up. No, they don't know what I'm talking about. They don't see it. They don't see a figure. They didn't see anything human about that. But I like the painting anyway. This was one of the first ones I did with water. Now this piece, I did this one for In the Light of Stefan Clark, for Stefan Clark. I was doing a lot of work at the time, trying to figure out my visual language. In not just water also, but I like the idea of in light and in spaces, sometimes in water, it looks like I could find galaxies. And I was thinking of that as like these unknown, untapped spaces. So I was also thinking of that and putting that to the side, you know, like I will use this at other times. I'm going to use this. And so when Stefan Clark happened, the young man that was in his backyard in Northern California on the phone, the police went into the backyard and shot him because they thought that they were looking for someone. I was so upset that this young man was on his cell phone in the backyard, I think of his grandmother's house. Now everyone goes to visit family, everyone's on their phone talking privately, and you can get shot for that. It was really disturbing. And at the same time, my nephew came to visit me. And when he got off the plane, he looked so large. He was, I think he was 15 or 16 at the time. And I looked at his body and thinking of the adultification of the Black body, and that no one would see him as a child, ever. And like, yeah, maybe he was like 16. He grew his man, you know, he was trying to grow his beard, his mustache. He was trying to feel like a young man. And it made me frightened thinking of Stefan Clark. So I was like, when you come here, you have to get in the water for me. I want you to pose. And I was thinking of that and thinking of his body, of this sacrifice and unknown. And so I also looked up I was really studying and looking at what was happening in Stefan Clark. And I saw they showed like the body where all the shots went. And in on like the news, and they showed like the here. And I was like, okay, he got shot like 7 times. And every place where I saw a bullet, I don't know if can I go larger? Yeah. I put a galaxy. So right here, a bullet went. When I saw the autopsy report, there were 2 right here. You know, I also used these light references. And to me, I made like a really subtle X on his chest, like a target. And I put like, so I, looked at pictures of the galaxy, but it did it subtly enough where people won't see it. I also did like this flat blue in most of it, besides the shadow. And people will see a lot of water there, but it's just flat blue and just a little bit here, because the shape itself has the idea of the crucifixion. So I kind of gave him almost a crown in a way. But just thinking, but some people can look at that and walk away and feel like there's a guy of sunlight in water. It doesn't have to be over the top. It doesn't have to be like, it doesn't have to be, in my head, show blood or violence or show it, but it's there for me. And if anyone wants to know or think more about it, and if you see In the Light without Stefan Clark's name on the title, it would have something else, but with his name, you're going to look references and try to go further with my work. And this was like a big stepping stone for me of thinking of my evolution of like me wanting to talk about things that are bothering me. And at the time, there was so much news reporting of us getting hurt in different ways. And I didn't know what to do with that. I kept wanting to go on social media and write some stuff up and say, I hate the police or whatever. I didn't have a location to put this energy. And so I said, I'm going to do it my work. And some of the paintings I do, I put the references of names or historical moments for us. This is Northern Penn. There's a wonderful collector here today, Lyndon, that has this piece. This case had happened in Baltimore, where the young man was arrested and his body, well, you know, he died while he was in the police van, and they said his spine was broken and broken to pieces. And then Baltimore erupted with a lot of riots, and all of that was close to home to me. My brother is in Baltimore. My brother was a defense attorney on the case, and so it was a lot of emotional feelings with that, and just thinking of how it felt in Baltimore. So I wanted to paint the water cold and hard and disruptive, and doesn't look inviting, let's say. It looks hard, and the body itself is broken up. And if I could do anything, I wish I could grab his hand and take this guy out of this moment. I started playing with the idea of geographical locations in the body, of marking things historically. I didn't put the name of him as the victim, but I did say North and Penn is where in Baltimore, the corner of North Avenue, Penn, like that street hit where the riots were, and that's where he was arrested. Freddie Gray, let me say his name, Freddie Gray was arrested. But I also went in the body, and right here is what Baltimore Harbor looks like. So I did some Google mapping and put it in the body, and just thinking of putting locations, playing with the idea of, you know, movement and what it does and how it breaks the body up and how water does. It just became really, I don't want to mentally like stimulating for me to push this image and the ideas further, give a mood. It's not necessarily like, but it's beautiful too. You know, it's like you can look at something difficult, hard, have a subject, but you can look at it and it's beautiful. And that is where I think in the very end of my work and how I feel, I think it's just so fascinating. Like I said, that ambiguity in life, that a lot of times the hardest moments of my life is when some of the most best things are happening, you know? And this is a very difficult and hard painting, and it's visually beautiful at the same time. And so you can decide, you know, what you're looking at. You don't have to be depressed looking at something that someone may consider depressing. You know, you can look at this and just find beauty, because life has both at the same time. You know, and I thought that was, I enjoy that too. And so sometimes that's in my work. Rondell, I'm not even doing these questions. It's okay. I'm just going to keep rambling, and then you can tell me in the end.
No, it's fine.
I have questions, and I am not doing them. I'm just going to keep talking.
No, you're doing justice for, you know, I mean, in my experience here, you can keep going. I'm just noting, like, you know, what you're sharing,
we'll come back.
and then I'll like fill up the holes from the questions, you know, when you know, but so keep going.
Okay. I started rambling. I'm just going to keep talking about my work. I'm going to look and say why I picked these with your questions, but I'm going. Okay, the space in which we travel, I feel like I did this because there was a question here that made me think of this, but I'm just going to go with it. This was one of my most difficult paintings. One, because it was so large. This is now a part of the Los Angeles LACMA's collection. And it is multi-layered. It was a part of my show I did at various small fires in LA. I was thinking about the female body and experience, Black female body and experience. And I was really fascinated with this story of Lilith at the time, where in a lot of writing, there was the story of Lilith in the Bible, or it didn't get into King James Bible, but it was written at the time, where Eve, there was a first wife of Adam, Lilith, who left Eden. They were made, the female, God made Adam and Lilith at the same time, the same. And Lilith basically wanted equality and not be, have to be subservient, basically. And so she left Garden of Eden that was supposed to be so amazing, wasn't so amazing to her. And she went to the sea. And God went to her what was his name? An angel, a popular angel, now I can't even think of it, was sent to talk to her to come back. And she said she wouldn't. What was it? It was
Gabriel?
Gabriel. Yes, Gabriel was asked to talk to her to convince her to come back. And she said, nah. And they were like, well, what you're going to be, your legacy will basically, you'll be considered as difficult. And you're going to be cursed, etc. And she was like, I'll take it. Cool. I'm not going back. So then the story is God took a piece of Adam and made Eve. So she's of Adam. So I thought it was just an interesting story. And it made me think of the stereotypes of the Black woman, being difficult, all these other things. And so I did all of these paintings thinking of that in mind. This one in here, I was thinking that the sisterhood that we need more. I created these two figures in an intimate moment. They're both in the water looking at each other, and we are merely witnesses of it. I thought of I put the white dress on all of the figures because it's the idea of, with us, we always have like baptism and you put them in white in the water in purity. And I was thinking of, America and this place that we need, Black female stereotypes of us need to be cleansed. And I thought of them together joining. The space in which you travel is between, like you're finding your soulmate. And sometimes it doesn't necessarily have to be the opposite sex. It could be your sister. It could be someone you bond with. And they are one. They are a yin and yang. And in between the arms here that I looked at a little bit of some DNA, what are they called? Helio, I can't even think of it right now, I'm sleepy. How the DNA forms in these shapes and turns. And so I wanted to put that in the arms, that they are connected. Thinking and in the show, I had a lot of, I think this is the next piece I put. I wanted to deal with colorism and how that divides. Just slightly there, just the idea of that, radiating your sovereignty, reflecting my grace. I use my daughter, the one on the right, as this one here, as a reflection of me, of my experience being very fair skinned, thinking of that and who I would consider her sister, her friend Tiffany. She was this beautiful girl. They're in school together, and everyone would always say they're like sisters. They're always together. They're all, but looking at them and how they would sometimes try to dress the same, feel the same, be the same, and just looking at the idea of how they're treated and walk through the world is very different. Now, my daughter, I thought of this, I wanted to get her in this pose that she felt natural in. I had her in this water. It looked, I thought a little bit when I was doing on the arm. Now I'll use photo references, and then sometimes I don't do exactly what's in the photo, but you sometimes can't tell where that begins and ends. So this whole arm here, this whole area wasn't in the photo for real, but it made me think of natural animals, like even like a giraffe or like a cheetah, and different things that they camouflage. There's like these dark and light spots, and thinking of a light-skinned woman such as myself that sometimes can camouflage in to society and spaces. Tiffany over here, this young, darker skinned, beautiful sister, unlike my daughter, may possibly, hopefully never will happen to her, deal with different forms of discrimination because of her skin complexion. And again, I was still looking at the time a lot of social media, where some of these girls at the time were 14. And on these social media platforms, I kept seeing where this young girl, I believe in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, was accosted by a school guard, and they were somehow she was about to have a fight with someone, and the school security guard grabbed her by her hair and was pulling her, and it was just the most disturbing video to see. And instead of, oops, I accidentally have something wrong right there. Instead of putting the name of that thing, sorry for that date, I accidentally was putting that there. I put Hazleton, Pennsylvania. I went to some geographical location here. This is Hazleton, Pennsylvania, the shape. And where the incident happened was this one area, and I put a dot right there. So I can locate, so I can like put a, in me, like in history, it's noted that this place needs some type of reform, that area. And then I don't know if any of you saw this video, there was one where this young Black girl, 14, was going to a pool party, and they had her in these handcuffs and stuff. And I was just so upset. So that was in Coral Springs, Florida. So I put that right here on the ankle, this shape. It doesn't really go in. It doesn't really make sense with the shading and coloring. But I put it right there and thinking of these things on the ankles that kind of move like shackles, which hold you down at your ankles. And I didn't want, a lot of times I remember my gal, she was like, you should put that in the title and all that. I was like, nah, these stories that I'm telling y'all, I didn't really want to 100% put it all there because that doesn't define her. These things that happen to us like that don't define our experience. They're just a part of our experience. She looks strong. She looks like she can fly. She looks radiating. She is beautiful. She is smart. She is whatever, she is powerful, and she looks calm and graceful. And that's who she is, and that is the most important thing. These other things are small. You don't even have to see them. They're only pointed out because we're doing this talk, or if I'm in a place, or if I'm at a museum, or if I'm doing an event, I will share that just to give my paintings another level. But that's not where I want to put in the title. And for these young girls and what happens, the idea of the Black female experience, and that's when I didn't put it in the name. I didn't want that to be the highlight, and I thought that was important to me. At the same time, just like this piece here, these girls working together. Now you can see I like put so many little symbols and stuff in there. I wanted these two girls to work together and show together, but I did little small things. Like I didn't realize until now, I really love looking at astronomy. And I said I'm always like those NASA pictures and those, I'm like fascinated. I'm looking all the time. But I learned that the North Star was so bright because there's really two stars really close together. And I didn't know that. And I thought that was fascinating. So that was my thinking about that. And I put this at the tip here, these two stars in my head that she's pointing there. I thought that was like, I don't know. I do a lot of those. You could see it. I put like in here, I wanted to make it look floral. I could probably go even further. I do a lot of just like those Dutch paintings and I'll put little symbols and things in my work often, but though it may not be there, but there. And even like with this one here of my daughter, like in the original photo, like her feet didn't look like that. But I wanted it to look like you didn't know where she stood. Again, talking about colorism and the experiences of a very light-skinned person. A lot of times people will look at me and assume I have a white mother or father, and it would be uncomfortable talking about race around me. And I don't. Like, I just have a light-skinned parent. What I mean? It's just interesting, like these things, they don't know where I stand. They don't know what I'm thinking. They don't know who and that comes with my complexion. This experience of that, like most likely no one's going to pull my daughter by her hair. Unfortunately, no one should, but no one's going to do that. Most likely, I'm going to say because of her complexion, right? Her experience is going to be very different. But maybe not. I'm sure it happens to other girls, but I'm just saying, like, just thinking of a common, you know, the experience of these two girls that walk through the world with different complexions. Some of these things I just wanted to address, even though really someone's going to go there and just say, look at these beautiful young Black girls in white dresses. And that's fine with me. You can walk away with that because that's enough, because they're very large, larger than life in scale. And you know, that itself of just seeing a beautiful Black figure in water, feeling unafraid and confident is enough of an image for someone to walk away from with my work. And I'm happy that if it just shows that this is a space where they belong. That could be simply the message. And I'm happy with that. Now, there was a question in here, something about my success with certain things in my career. I have a relationship, a friendship with a pretty famous writer, Ta-Nehisi Coates. He came to my studio one time and he saw the work I was doing, and he happened to be writing The Water Dancer. And he was like, maybe you should try to do my cover. So I did all of these paintings, these small paintings, as he was writing the book, that helped me think about, I was reading what he was writing, his rough drafts, and I started thinking of different things. And it goes right with my work. It was the right point that he made, that we were kind of synergized at the moment. And so I did this piece here to show the Black body in a way where it was open enough, where are his hands up? And the idea of someone's hands up, is he drowning? Is he floating? What's going on? I don't know, but just that idea and that opening, the water itself turning into sky. I do that often in my work because, again, astrology and stars and skies are I like that too. That's something that I'll read about, look at images. And so that is, again, a part of my visual language that you'll often find that. And I got a great response. It was right before my show that came out. So it was almost like I got a lot of press with that, which probably led to my show, and all that building probably helped a lot with my success, because that was out and then my show came. And so sometimes timing of things is just like, lucky girl there, you know, but that was something I painted, and it got a lot of people liked it. You know, the cover did very well. So that there, before, for years, I used, before water and I was painting, I realized this is one of the paintings I did. This is when work might have looked like before water. I did a lot of portraits of Black women or Black people. And this was one of mine that I kept, that I love. I did that of Rita Marley. I was like, I love her and her story. But I was also doing a lot of graphic design work to pay bills. And it wasn't like graphic design work, like logos and things. I worked as an art director for a public policy organization. So I did booklets. I can't really show it because it's like basically booklets and layouts and things. And a question that was given to me by Rondell was, did my graphic design background influence my path? I'm pretty sure it did, because there's something about this as graphic, this piece here that I did now and then, here and there. I did these series of paintings thinking of time and what did that look like in space and how we move through it. I took the water out, but originally when I did like the photo shoot, she was in water. And if you you can kind of see, and really, if it was close up or better picture, there's like these little water reflections coming through. And you could kind of tell, but I took the blue out. So you can kind of just see her in space and thinking of movement and time and memory, and how you could be one place and another. I'm physically here. I could be thinking about something else. I could feel free one moment and contemplative. And it was really important to me there to like just the cultural identifier of our box braids. I wanted to really capture these like beautiful patterns in her head. And then, you know, there's also a lot of history of the yellow and Oshun and I don't know. So it was important to put her in yellow and be queen-like, and but also thinking of time and motion and a contemplative state until she can fly off. But this does have, to me, a graphic element and a good example of probably my graphic experience that probably does come to play. I don't think of it, but it's probably on the subconscious. I could see that. I could put text above and below. I would use something like this and play with text in that. Probably if I didn't make it and it wasn't a painting, I could see the graphic element. So again, I don't think of it often that time, but I'm pretty sure it does play in my compositions. Let's see if I can go up. There's another one, right? Okay. Why isn't it working? Hold on, I'm stuck. I'm trying to pull it up. Hold on. PDF. Oh, okay. Now we're going. Okay. There was a painting of which one of my favorite pieces. When I painted this one for my show, I was actually in the Freeze Fair, and then I told them, I was like, "Oh, I'm not selling this one. I'm keeping it." I couldn't sell it. It was mine. And it was because there's multiple reasons with this piece why I loved it. I probably look at a lot of, or have history as a kid of a lot of Renaissance, some artwork. And when I painted the foot, did like this like simple stroke, it felt so good to capture this toe. It made me think of Degas. It made me go with, it felt quiet. It was like one of those times for me, as weird as it sounds, sometimes people ask me, when's your painting done? I was like, because when I can hear the sound of it. It looks quiet. I know what this sounds like. And I was done. You know, it had more than just realism to it. It made me think of a Rorschach test. I see this odd shape here with the reflection in this, and I saw pelvic hip bones of a woman. I saw femininity. I felt this woman isn't really alone. She's in a spiritual place too. And so she's never alone. I saw flame, I saw fire, I saw it, and I said, oh, you can show it to fair, but I'm not selling it. I want that right in my bedroom. Sorry. So this became that because it's like when you do it and you hit it, I hit it. I was like, I did it. This is what, I just love this piece. I just love this piece. This is my baby. My echo, my moonlight. This is my baby. I didn't have anything else. And then I put a picture of me. And so this is what I put together with my pictures. Y'all got any questions for me or Rondell? Did I miss anything?
No. You covered everything, and thank you. You know, like I told you the other day, I have 1,000 questions. I had 1,000 questions the other day, and this talk just threw out 1,000 more questions. You know, I'll ask 2 of the questions that I have, and then open it up to the space to ask questions for certain. One question: when I saw you pull up the Ta-Nehisi Coates book cover, it said it was 16 by 12. And then one of the first paintings you showed was like 84, you know, by 144. So, you know, how do you, like, where's your comfort at? Like when you paint something small, is it easier? If you paint something large, is it easier? Like that's the questions that jumped in my head when I saw that dimension on there.
When I paint something small, I mess up my eyes. I'm starting to wear glasses now. That's the problem. I'm telling you, look, I got my glasses here because I printed out your questions. And I said, what font was this? I can't even read it. These painting small is a pain in the butt, but I like it. I like the
Don't rag on miniature.
paint.
Stop that.
I know. I don't know how you do it. That's why you got these glasses on too. Look, I'm gonna put my glasses.
Oh, my glasses right here.
Yeah, I was like, oh, what font? And it's amazing. I enjoy painting a little small brushes sometimes, and it's a small piece. Um, and I like the intimacy and the idea of people walking close to art. And when there's a small painting, you kind of have to walk up on it and look at the detail. I enjoy the detail. The painting larger is great because you have to step back, and you really can't get it till you step back. So I know a lot of artists, there's a tendency, especially right now, that people, it'll be a lot more money. You make a lot of money, it's real big. Just paint real big, and it'll cost more. And sometimes there's that, element and consideration that sometimes I find artists have. But if it doesn't lend to the experience for me, I won't do it. I paint in every different scale. I have a range of scale. I do very small to very large. It just depends on if I feel like the experience, what the experience for the viewer will be and how I want to see it. I just did a painting that's going to be in my next year's show. That's the same exact size. And it's going to be in this big ass gallery, but I know what wall I'm going to put it on, and it's going to look this small on this wall, but it's going to be next to a very big piece. It's going to be next to a very big piece. So people will have to walk up and walk back. And I like that. I want people to move in and out and weave while they look at my work. And so I just look at what do I want to do, and then I'm blessed. I'm like, that's what I'm going to do it. Now I remember it was really funny when I was trying to figure out another gallery. I have a New York gallery now, and I was trying to figure out a New York gallery, and I was talking to this one gallery, and they were like, "Oh, I have this new gallery space in New York, and your 4x5 paintings will be amazing in there. And so if you just make a lot of these 4x5 works, if you come, this gallery, it will be so successful. And in this room, you can make paintings about this size to this size." And this painting, and when she was saying that to me, what she didn't realize is I was like, not my gallery. That's what I heard. I know she was thinking, which makes sense, I can make you money.
Yeah.
All I heard was control. Yeah. And I don't want to be controlled. Yeah. In any relationship. And I feel like a lot of times as artists, especially in the beginning, and I'm telling you, I've had all different financial positions. I have counted quarters. I have counted my change. I've done it. How much do I have? I've counted them. How much I got. I've been in all different. I haven't been I'm not super rich. I haven't been everywhere. Take that back, because there's a range of real money. I'm not there. But I've been in all different things, and I get it, especially when you're trying to create your work, that sometimes you'll hear things, the opportunity to make the money, but that I would give anybody advice that that's short-term thinking. Just do what you love the way you want to do it, and let that passion and your interests and your desires and trust yourself and your gut and stick with it, and find people that are aligned with you. Yeah. Find like-minded people. Sometimes I think of this a lot of times with ideology, you'll be like, oh, they're Black, they're down. No, I don't mean that. I don't mean that. And then, or even they're white, they're not. No, that doesn't mean that. Ideology, it crosses gender and race. Some of the best, slave catchers were Black. And a lot of white people saved a lot of our lives. So and even that ideology, it's not race or gender who's going to be on your team. there's a lot of commonalities you can experience that you feel comfortable with, but sometimes we get limited with those thought processes. We get mixed up, and we think our team, who's going to get us to be in a further place in life, has to fit these boxes because we've been used to this thing, and we got to get out of that. And even with our gallery spaces, we have to find people that understand us, who you are, align with your thing, and you trust, and you can let go, and you can talk to, and that's what you're looking for. A lot of times in galleries, a lot of times we're in a place because sometimes we're hungry and we just want to be in this gallery, and we just want to put our stuff on a wall. And we go from that space, of not desperation to make it or make money, that we compromise too much of ourselves.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times it's very important to interview them. Do we, think of it like, before you go sometimes with a gallery, think of it like a marriage. You can't go on one date and then marry somebody and think it's going to work. And you're giving them most of the time half your money, right? You're giving them half your money. So who are you going to give half your money to? You need to go to their space often. Go look at their shows. See who else they like. Talk to the people. See if you like them. Trust them. Get to know people. Yeah. And then you get married. And that would be my suggestion on finding a gallery. and then you can still break up, and you can find out it don't work, just like your marriage, right? You could be together for 5 or 10 years. You'd be like, what was I thinking? That person is crazy. You can have that experience just like if you're married, people change, galleries change, everything changes. So you just have to go with the flow, and you should really be looking at places that align with you spiritually, and whoever that is. And it's different for different people. My gallery may not be somebody else's gallery. So you listen to your friends on certain things, but sometimes just, do that. I don't know what your question is. I start rambling.
Yeah, no. Thank you. It's all of interest and great information. And I think that it's nice that this is flowing and just in a flowing way. As far as with the questions, trying to handle it, we have 13 people in the space, and so I think whoever wants to ask a question to Calida, why don't you just put a question mark in the chat box, and then we'll go in that order of individuals to ask questions to her, if that works for everyone. And I think asking a question, maybe you could announce your name and I don't know, maybe what medium you work in, if so, and then ask the question.
AC, can you stop sharing?
Oh, me? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay.
There we are.
Get everybody up. Yeah. Thanks. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Paul Wright, you're up first.
Sorry, I just want to I was taking a few notes about just your paintings. First off, they're very beautiful.
Thank you.
A painter predominantly. I've been working as an illustrator for the last few years. As you can understand, making the ends meet, that's a lot of where my money comes from. But I wrote a few things. What I love about these paintings is there a lot of room for exploration, not only in the figures. I'm sorry, my dog is being super annoying. Rocky's. But not only in the figures, but in the water. I'm currently working to find a way to articulate my Black experience, but not only in the pain, but the resilience from it. But that's what I enjoy about your paintings. There's a sense of duality, it's decorative, but when I look at it, there's so much to pull from it. As far as you told us so much, but I even saw even more, not only beauty, but pain stories. I remember when I was showing here in New York for the first time, very young, very skilled, but I feel like my mentor said, we need to find the meat of our subjects. And at that time I was trying to find the meat of my paintings. And this guest at the gallery told me, is Paul Wright will become a great artist when he knows true pain. And when I look at your work, I can tell that it comes from a place of pain and resilience because there's so many layers to it. Also the symbolic elements, again, very decorative, but also beautiful and thought-provoking. Sorry, I'm just gonna skim through. But like I said, like it's so much room that water is such a symbolic element, but there's so much room for exploration. Like I'm reading through now, there's no general question, but this is what I got from what I saw and what you said. And thank you for sharing. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think next in the list is Sophia. Question?
Hey, sorry. So my name's Sophia. I am right now a Yaya Senior Guild. And I just wanted to say your pieces are so eye-opening. I have, and this is 100% a beautiful thing, but I have never felt so ignorant in a Zoom meeting. This was just so incredible and so eye-opening, and I loved listening to everyone's perspective and diversity. And I that's what I want for my work. I want everybody to see themselves in my work, to have some sort of relationship with my work. Oh, I'm also a mixed media artist. But like your pieces were just so eye-opening, and like they really were just so incredible and so absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask, like, what was your adventure as a young artist? Like, how did you communicate that experience and all of those difficult challenges and everything as a young person? Because we all know that when you're much younger, nobody really wants to listen to you because they're ready for you to go do something stupid. But yeah.
I mean, as someone, like, for me, you just figure out I think figuring out who you are is the first step. And a lot of that is, I don't know, for me, reading a lot. I like to read. I think everything clicked for me when I put all of my interest in my work, like who I was in the work. And I think for a long time, I wasn't doing that. And I say for a long time, for many years, I'm 46 years old. In my if you look at all my work over since I was in my 20s, it probably looks all different places, all different things. I got 8 works of this, 1 work of it. There's no, because I was trying to figure it all out. And it took me a long time to get it all together, to figure it out, to think of it through, read and learn who I was and play with the different forms. And now it's like by mastering and playing, and I don't regret any of it, because exploring all different ways are now my skill set. Now I got more tools to work with. So don't feel at a time when you're younger and you're figuring it out is sadly enough and scary enough, but it's like the best place, because this is when you're learning and figuring it. You're going to get it. You just need more time. Sometimes some people can. There's a lot of artists that I see that I know that like came out of Yale, this school, did this and this and this. I didn't go to Yale, but these certain grad schools, and they're in their 20s and they're just like on fire. I couldn't have done that. I could not. I didn't have the knowledge of who I was and how I wanted to paint at the time. I needed more time. And I had to recognize I needed more time. Some people have and know who they are a lot earlier. I can't say that I did. And I don't even know who I'd be if I had certain success so young. I'd probably be a real jerk. Like if I was so young, I mean, it's okay to like explore, I've made a lot of bad paintings, and I'm happy to show y'all all my good ones, but I've made a lot of bad work first. And that is a good place to be too, because you're learning. And you need, and in time, if you look at certain work from like last year or 2 years ago, you're like, oh, I thought I liked that, but I didn't. That's great. If you feel that way, that's growth. And you should be even proud of yourself that you can see a difference. That's a good, and what we usually do is beat ourselves up because we look at somebody else and their success and where they are, and you compare with age. You got to let it go. You got anyone. I don't know where anyone is here financially. Like I said, I've been in all different places, and I worked as a graphic designer, and then I became, art director. I did a children's book. I've done all different things. I was home with my kids. I have done all different things, and all of those experiences I'm bringing with me. And the more experiences you have, travel when you can. If you don't have certain, financial experiences, travel as much as you can, if you can, to see the world from different perspectives and take all that in and bring that, like, keep thinking and then making work. And, it's okay to, like, the best thing is just if you fall, to just see how fast you can get back up and just keep getting up, and I had studio visits. I had to do a lot of studio visits to feel comfortable doing studio visits. And so you have to keep talking about your work, learning how to talk about it and feel comfortable talking about it. But that takes a lot of practice. And even I had galleries come see my work, and they were like, I see your work. I understand. You're Kehinde Wiley in water. And I'd be like, nah, maybe I'm not conveying it right. Honestly, really? That's what you say? Okay, interesting. I am realistic. You know what I mean? But I don't see a connection there. Or but I do see it, right? We're both realistic. And then I remember a gallery, then I had a gallery, especially when I was first trying to come out, that they want to tell me I know what you're going to do. Yeah. So what you could do is find all the realistic, turn of the century paintings with water and put someone Black in it. And then you could be Kehinde Wiley in water. Now, someone maybe younger might have took that advice because they wanted to make a sale and they're hungry, right? Because they want to make money. And this gallery would take me if I did that. And then they shift your head to go this way because you see the money, and then you lost where you were going. And looking back at that was terrible advice. But they may have been seen as a really great gallery. You know what I mean? Or another gallery told me this. I got so much advice on what to do with my work. And I had to listen. And some of it I had to say no. Like because I was trying to figure it out. And that's when I was like, I need to not do studio visits too early, because I was still trying to figure it out. And if I was not sure, I might have listened. So you have to, like, just really take your time. And then I remember having people say, why aren't you showing yet, Calida? You got this work, you're great, you could sell. Why aren't you showing at these galleries? Because I knew I wasn't ready. And a lot of people, when you say that, will think that you're insecure by saying that you're not ready. You are ready. You're so talented. I see this painting. But I knew I wasn't, because I knew there was still part of me that was still trying to figure it out. And I wanted to wait to come to this art world, like this other insular art world, when I knew what I was doing. And it took me a long time. And so I was like, nope, I'm not showing. And there were certain people coming at new gallery. You could have a show here. And I was like, nope. But I had to, how are you going to eat, right? You could sell your work and make the money. That feels good. But it was like, okay, I'm going to keep this other job. I'm up at night doing my design work, painting during the day, and, you just have to figure it out and just take your time. And so when you come, that you're strong and you know who you are and what you want to say, because sometimes galleries will think of the money, and sometimes their vision will be short-sighted. Sometimes they'll just say, oh, I could sell this, I got a client, and they'll give you guidance, and you have to be very careful sometimes with guidance, especially when it comes from somebody in sales, right? Because they're thinking of, a casual, and you've got to figure out who you are, what you want, and how you want to, what you want to say into this world. What's your stamp? What's your legacy? What are you leaving behind? What do you want? What is missing in the art world that you could contribute to? And you just think about that. And what do you want to see out there? And just focus on that. What connects to you, what feels like you, and how are you expressing yourself? And a lot of times, just in general, I lost my train of thought. I had a point, it's gone. It went that way. It went that fast. But I was lucky in my place, like when I met my gallery, and that was in LA. I was ready, and that gallery VSF knew, they understood what my work was. I could tell in my studio visit with them that they understood me, and they weren't giving me suggestions that didn't, I was like, they got me. And that's what you really want in the end of your studio visit. But it was the right timing too, because if they came earlier and I didn't know what I was really saying, they wouldn't have got me, So sometimes I had to like slow down sometimes before I had galleries come to see me.
Thanks again. I think Raymond, you had a question?
Yeah, I did. Oh yeah, my name is Raymond. You kind of already answered my question though, because I was. Yeah, you just answered my question like just now when you were talking about because I was going to ask about the galleries and like how did you find out? I mean, were you approached by them, and how did you know that it was right for you? But you kind of already answered that question.
Yeah, it felt good. It felt like, just like, you have to think of it like dating. When you go on a date and you feel like it's a natural fit and you like this person and you want to be with them again. If it feels intellectually that you can do that, that's a good keep relationship to keep and go, and you feel that, sometimes that helps. It helps. You don't have to fall in love or anything. You don't have to, but but just with the art, it's like your art, they understand and they get you. And the conversation, the give and the take, and it feels like you both could work together. And that's what you're looking for with your gallery. Someone that's representing you. You want to feel like you flow and you get along and it works. And I've been very blessed with my gallery experiences.
Thank you. Q, think you had questions? Next.
All righty. Hey, how you doing? I am Q, that everybody knows me, and then the world knows me as Quentin Hakeem. So recently, I became a full-time artist. Whoop, 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 whoop. It's a big deal. It was like I kind of like started feeling the loop of, because I know I'm good at everything. In a sense, I could use my gifts everywhere, right? And so in a sense of like spreading myself. So I started working with like Walgreens and stuff like that. And I became like a manager in under a year. And I think, and it's funny because I was just talking to Rondell about this, and he said, "Hey, I think you should be on Zoom this week. I think it'll mentally be good for you." So there's a lot of things that you touched on, honestly, throughout this entire the entire like process of talking. Like you touched everything. I'm talking about heart went, and even from seeing your work, like it's phenomenal. Like I had to follow you on 2 of my pages, like and it gets, I don't know, to see it, it meant a lot. And I think it means a lot. And I think for me, coming as like an artist who, one, I wear many hats. I'm a singer, songwriter, producer, painter. I do sewing. I do custom, everything you can think of, tattoos, anything you can think of, art related, cooking. And I think for me, I struggled with the identity of people forcing me to be into portrait, because I do specialize in like portrait paintings and stuff like this, but I'm a character-based artist. And I have been told in the past that if maybe I was white doing my character-based design would be much bigger. And I guess I've been like in the past struggling with trying to stay consistent in what my character-based design is, and and just kind of like finding my own way in it. And I think I also find myself trying to rush through pieces just to kind of prove a point. Whereas when I was looking through your pieces, you might have a date, and this doesn't mean that you might paint one paint in a year, but I seen it was like 2017, 2018, 2019, 20, 22, and then different spaces. Like how frequent are you painting on different pieces versus just settling in or honing for like one big massive piece? I guess it's like one of my like, that was my first early on question. And
Okay.
I think I'm gonna stick to that one because I'm telling you, I have you on here all day. I have you on here
Okay.
all day.
Okay. Yeah. So big pieces. Yeah, that may take me 3 months on one. The huge ones, maybe 2 or 3 months. Some of them I can go faster. Right now, I got 2 paintings going on at the same time in my studio, and I'm going back and forth. It just depends on what it is and how detailed. Like you saw the one with the beige background one. You know, it was really that and then beige. So that didn't take that long. Some of them take and not that long. Just depends. But I did. Then I started doing this in the little teeny. You know, the details are tight. So then that takes long. There's a range of time that I do. I try not to ever rush through though. I try not to. Of course, sometimes I push it and I'm like, I'm staying all night, honey. Watch those kids. I'm not coming home tonight. That means I rush through, but I will sit there all night and got the coffee, you know, and just, I have to do that because I got to make it to the deadline when someone's about to pick it up or it's done. Right. But I really try my hardest to give 100% to everything that I'm going to put out there because I don't want to feel later like why did I put that out there? You know, like why is that out? Right. I want to love all my pieces. Right. I really want to feel. There was someone I was at some place, and a curator came up to me and they said something. I was like, yeah, I'm trying to do this. And they're like, you're doing it. He said everything that comes out your studio is a banger. Everything. And I was like,
I know, right?
You know, yeah. Everything. Yeah, and that was like the goal. I don't want someone to see one of my pieces and be like, that was that. Like, yeah. So you know, she just had this show and she just like, you know, I don't want that. I don't want, and that's what, hey, it may happen to me. I may not be successful at everything I do. Of course, it's going to happen, you know, like something, but I'm going to try my hardest to give my 100% to everything I put my name on. And they say, that's Calida's work. They'd be like, yeah, I could tell that was good. And that's just me. That's just my ego. You know, that's my ego, you know, like that. I want to feel that way. That's important to me. That's just as important to me. That's probably one of the most important things to me. My name.
Daryl. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, that's it.
I think Daryl was next. Had a question.
Hey, Calida, how you doing? My name is Daryl White. I'm in the Atlanta area market. I actually have been working as a graphic designer for probably 20 plus years. And graphic design is what I do, but I really still tend to think of myself as a creative. And if there's an opportunity to be creative, I'm in it. But I think what I want to ask you about is actually, because you're in a space now that you weren't maybe 10 years ago. And sometimes there's a catalyst that allows you to say, okay, I'm going to do this. I don't know when you transition from graphic design to be a full-time painter, or if there was, or one was a hustle to get to the other. But I'm curious about, I was going to ask you, how did you create the freedom to pursue your passion? But I'm also curious about, because I think we don't talk about enough the business side of being creative, and everybody usually is, you know, looking for that gives something that gives them passion, how whatever. But when I taught, I think we don't think about ourselves as a business outside of being an artist, and you know what kind of accounting practices you went through. Did you have a mentor that taught you about the gallery space and, you know, getting an agent, or how that works? So if you want to share some information in regards to that, because I think it's just more to being a professional creative or artist than just being an artist.
Good. Oh, wow. I wrote some notes because there was like 3 different things there. Okay. So what gave me the freedom to stop being like doing graphic design and those things? It took a long time and a gradual progression. You know, it was slow. especially if I'm taking my time and figuring out my visual, all that. Like that takes a long. Like that was like putting myself back through grad school. And I went to grad school for painting. I went to NYU, and when I left grad school, I just felt like I didn't want to paint anymore. So I basically had to put myself through, and that's what I was doing. I was so I knew I needed that to fall back in love, because I got it was just the time period that I went, and it wasn't the right school for me at the time, and my practice. I didn't do enough research. But what gave me my freedom was really like, I'm blessed that I was married to a really great guy that understood my vision. And I'm not saying we were rich and all, but he was definitely supportive in a way that, like, you need to do it. You need to just do this. You got the talent to do it. So we took a lot of sacrifices. We struggled a little bit in certain times, not having a lot, And it was really funny, because I was doing this talk with this women's group, and they were asking me, and I was like, my husband helped me out. And I felt like I wasn't a feminist, because I was saying, my husband helped me. You know what I mean? Like, it felt like I was like, you got your man to help you. Like, I'm not real, the independent woman. But reality, it doesn't matter if they're your husband or your wife, or like the sex of the person, or even if it's a family member. You know what I mean? I had support and help. And I can say one of my uncles, he bought a lot of my work to help me keep painting. You know what I mean? He probably has my largest collection of work that's not water. So he's mad. He's like, oh, this blew up. Now your other work. But he was supporting me, basically, keeping money in my pocket. So I got these wonderful Black men that helped me keep me, motivated. But at the same time, I had other family like, why don't you stop doing that and teach and help, your family in this way. I had that enough teaching too. Like, Calida, you're, almost like a financial burden, So it was like it's a different, I was very lucky that I had a great support system with family, and that really did help. And whatever support that, wherever that is important to get a base to help you. If especially it could even be a loan. Maybe your bank is your financial support. I don't know. Just depends on how you structure and what you can do, that you can have some real time to think, sometimes, the business side. Yes, it is definitely a business. And I think artists in school are taught the craft, but they are not taught the business.
I agree.
And it's really unfortunate that art schools teach you like very little on the business side. And that is why we put all our eggs in control into galleries, because we don't have the skills of the business, right? And I would have friends that aren't in the art world and say, you're giving your gallery this big percentage. That's crazy. You should just do this on your own, But the galleries, that gallery system, and making my price point and making it that it's not arbitrary. And I learn a lot from the galleries, and, I understand it, not saying that the gallery system is perfect, but I understand how necessary it is. And, understanding that, like, going to the fairs and different things help, you build your market. Now, like the accounting system, my husband helps me a lot with that. We do it together. I do keep all my, I I have a business credit card. It just is like all my supplies, everything I do. And that helps me with, I'm not really great with accounting, but I could see everything that is bought for art that's separate than my personal card. I have 2 credit cards, and so there's right there. Like, I just look at my statement and there's everything. So that helps me can see it, and when I buy, my canvases and all that other thing, like that helps with a system of accounting. What exactly on the business side would you want to know?
Oh, it wasn't anything particular, because it was kind of leading into, did you feel that you needed to get a mentor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And I want to say my friend who's a very successful, yes, you need multiple mentors. Everyone does. Everybody in every different parts of your life. Like I wouldn't go to my I have a friend that's really good with money. I talk to her about that, right? But I may not talk to her about my art career. Like sometimes people find a mentor, and that mentor is supposed to help them with everything. You know what I mean? And I think you need to have you need mentors in all different ways of success. You know, like your friend that may have a successful relationship, that could be a relationship, but you can't go to that person for that thing. You know, and in art, the same thing. I had a couple friends that definitely talked me through. And you need someone that you feel that you trust and you see the trajectory of their career that's ahead of you, just giving you guidance on things. Definitely. I definitely had a mentor, and I would call and get advice. And then, like, honestly, I think in the art world, I have friends that are curators, that are very successful curators that I listen to. I have friends that are artists that I listen to. And sometimes when I'm trying to make a big decision, I'll call both of them and hear their advice from different angles, you know, and then I make my decision there, like a council rather than one, because there's different ways to think of it. Someone is more of like a gallery, museum, curator perspective, and then like a fine artist that's really, and I'll talk, and then I try to make a decision for myself with both in mind, rather than just like one art mentor. Because sometimes there's no one path to make it. You can't redo it the way I did it, because it's just it all goes like this. Everyone has their own way, and you've got to you have to tailor people's advice in that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like so I would get multiple in different, you know, a friend that works at a gallery, that is important too. They could be your mentor. Like they know the system, they understand. And so when things happen, that's an important person to go and ask coffee for. Now, can I have some coffee with you? Can I just talk to you? You get a relationship there, you know, that got you just to understand it. Cause I don't feel like that guy fully understood what and I don't want to sometimes you can shoot down an opportunity that you think is silly, but you just don't understand what someone is talking about sometimes. Yeah. And sometimes you just need that knowledge in that space. And I definitely go in trying to listen more. Try. I talk a lot though, but I try to listen too.
You know, again, you know, we're about 8 minutes past our time. You know, it's been awesome. You know, it's our first time doing this. So thank you, Calida, for, you know, joining in on this special journey with us. Lyndon, do you have questions or something?
I thought we were going till noon.
Well, I put an hour and a half. And so I mean, the space open. I was just trying to frame up this part of the conversation, this part of the experience, you know, so, you know, because, I mean, it's Saturday, so I don't know what people are doing. And, you know, there's some people jumped in and jumped off. And so I just want to have this break point, but everybody's welcome to stay and keep chatting. You know, and that's just up to Calida's comfort, and then also the comfort of the space. But, you know, I just, you know, it's always awesome, talking directly to an artist, because there's always extra stuff to know about. And when you were talking about the inside of your paintings, the inside parts, yeah, you know, you look at it and see it, but you put more stuff inside, and a lot of artists do that. And so, you know, I know sometime tonight I'm gonna jump on my computer and I'm gonna deep dive in all your paintings. I'm looking around for all kinds
what
of
is
stuff.
That? Why is there a dot over there? Why is there a dot? What is that?
Looking at the legs and I'm looking for galaxies. You know,
look for some galaxies.
Thank you for sharing that with us. I know you don't always share that part, but I mean, artist to artist, that's awesome. And that's just the kind of richness that's always happening and we don't get to know about. And so, yes, I will be doing that. And then maybe we can have a round 2 of this later and everybody.
You may find some stuff in there and I'm like, really? You saw that? Where? Tell me. Interesting. You know, I like to learn too. And I loved when I show my work and people would say I'm like, wow, you saw that? I like to learn from my work too, how other people grow and change. And I don't know, it's a really fun experience. And I am learning as I'm going. I'm definitely a work in progress, and I think I'll always be until I end this life. And I appreciate this journey.
Thank you. Do you have a person, like, now that you've done this for us and with us, do you have somebody that you think might be, a good person to talk to like yourself in the future? I just want to see if you have a name to jot down. If not, and it doesn't have to be
I would have to think about that.
Okay,
I would have to think about that. I would have to think about that and just think of some good people. But I do love sharing anything I have, and I'm appreciative of the space to allow me to share some of my experience. Like I said, it's I'm growing and I'm learning too, and I'm trying to navigate this, and I plan to, I'm gonna keep making mistakes and doing some and making some good decisions too. And I'm gonna learn from all of them. And that's what I hope we all can, just forgive ourselves sometimes. Sometimes we don't forgive ourselves for making some mistakes.
Yep.
And then we'll just be like, oh, and then you bring yourself down from it, but you just learn from it and just keep going. They're all good. All these experiences are good things.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. I know, Linda, you have anything that contribute to the space at all that you want to throw out there? I'm just,
I'm good, man. I don't want to hear anything I got to say. That's why I bring in the professionals.
Yeah. Where are you hanging, showcasing Calida's work in your place?
It's in the house. Yeah. In the kitchen.
In the house.
In the kitchen. It's a big piece in the kitchen. Yeah.
In the kitchen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Did Calida help in placing it in your house? You just decided that on your own?
Oh, no. When we redid the kitchen, when was this? 7 years ago? We specifically opened the space up to make it big and have big walls to put, significant size pieces of work that we have. And during one of Calida's studio visits, because I'm probably one of those artists that she talks to that she's referencing. we have a lot of conversations, but one of the visits to her studio, and look, it's one of the coolest places to go because she's got work everywhere. She's even got these soft sculptures that were blowing my fucking mind. I was like, wow. But there's this one painting that I saw in progress, and that was North and Penn. Because I saw it while you were doing it. Mm-hmm. And it just struck me. Not even knowing the whole story, but just the visual and the idea of it just struck me that it was this abstract thing and it's this person in it, and it could be anybody, anybody, any gender, whatever. And that one just stuck out to me. And so when I asked her about it, I don't even remember exactly what you told me, but I was like, I knew in my head, that's the one I wanted to bring home. And so when I went and told Janine, I was like, oh, you got to see this thing. Like, of all the work in her play, because I took pictures of a lot. I said, but this is the one. And so we went back. Janine and I went back one time, and it was further. It may have been finished by then. I don't remember. Mm-hmm. But we just knew when we left that shit was coming home. And figure out where it was going. And so I don't remember if something else was in that spot, but when it came home, that we just knew that was the spot for it in the kitchen. It's got a premier location. Yeah. And then, there's other interesting stories connected to that painting that I'm gonna let her tell.
Wait, before she tells that, because you actually said something and I wasn't sure how Calida was using it. So studio visit, is that like when you're working on work and people come visit your studio, different from a showing?
Yes.
Yep. So I invite certain people, if there's like a collector or an artist or someone, you could do a studio visit with other artists.
Yeah.
While you're working, like you're put some work up and get some feedback, like a crit. You know,
Oh, I thought you were visiting studios. That's what I thought that meant.
me.
Oh, no. That's when people visit the
No.
artist studio.
Okay.
Artist studio. So in my studio, I had some work up, and I don't remember, Lyndon. It's been so a while. Like how we met, I don't remember anymore.
Well, we met. So let me preface this because I wear a few hats in the art world. You know, in visual effects and animation director. I'm a visual artist, you know, with the miniatures. You guys know about the miniatures and the film work. Collector, patron, board member, all this stuff. So we actually met. You know, we were actually shown that the first painting you showed, the young girl. Jill Moniz showed us that painting years ago. I don't know if you know that. So Jill showed us that, and beautiful piece, you know, and it's one of those things that when you see work, one thing Janine and I do, we don't buy work because people tell us we need to have this. We have to have an emotional connection to it. We got to love it. It's got to be passion, and we buy what we love. We don't buy on speculation, internet shit, or reputation. We buy what we love. And that piece was beautiful, but it just wasn't the one that struck us. You know what I mean? And it wasn't even because you couldn't recognize, like, it doesn't matter, abstract or representation, whatever, it doesn't matter. But, you know, and we look at so much work, it's just a matter of what takes precedent at the time. You know what I mean? What you're driven toward at the time. And that's what I knew when I saw North and Penn, even in its halfway state, that shit just spoke. It clicked on an emotional level. But the way we met, I think that's when we first got introduced to your work. But we actually met at the Obama Portraits unveiling in DC. Because I'm on the board of the National Portrait Gallery, and we were there for the unveilings, and you're friends with Amy Sherrill. You guys know Amy Sherrill. She painted Michelle. And we just struck up a conversation because we're all there from LA. And we knew your work. And we just started talking about all this stuff and careers and everything, and this whole shebang. And from that meeting in DC, that's when we got closer here in LA, when I would just come over and hang out with you, and we just chop up art shit. I mean, really. So studio business can be, like Calida was saying, with gallerists, with collectors, with friends, with other artists, the whole shebang. It's anyone who would just come and hang out in your studio. I mean, you know, and sometimes it's just not a formal visit. It's just friends coming over and seeing what you do. I mean, I have people come over here and do the same thing. So we just, it's just a collaboration and a camaraderie and all of that, you know, it's all of the above. But that's how we met. What was that, 2018? Huh?
Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah, I painted a while ago. Yeah. But it is good to do sometimes, even it just depends on your practice, but sometimes studio visits are good, like with other artists, or like if you're building a lot, like just say you're in a work and I don't do this, but at time I used to do this when I had more time, but a group of friends that were all artists, and we'd go around and come like once a month and maybe go visit other people's studios, see what they're working on. You know, have some wine and some cheese or a pizza. And y'all could just talk and just, you know what I mean? Just see what's going on and maybe getting some feedback. Sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not. I don't know. It just depends on how people feel, but getting a community is important. Right. Getting a community of people that you could like feel. And then like studio visits, like if there's a collector that you're like interested in maybe being a part of their collection, you know, that's another level. That's something else. So there's art, Lyndon has so many different hats. He's a friend, you have, you know, be a collector and all that, but you know, just hanging out and get to know somebody, and you can just say, this is what I'm doing. This is where my work is going. And that's a great way to practice talking about your work.
Yeah.
You know, because the more you do it, the more comfortable you are. And when you get put on a spot and you're like at some gallery and there's a gallerist and they're like, so tell me about your work. You'd be like, I paint some people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And sometimes by like getting with friends or other artists and just doing that often, and when it comes, you're like, oh, I'm a hyper-realistic painter that paints, you know, uses water as a visual metaphor in my work. I deal with, then you got your, so by practicing and talking is important.
Yeah. And one thing I give Calida shit about all the time now is because when we first started talking, whatever year that was, you always go through these things about, I'm doing all this work, why isn't this happening? And you just say, just focus and just do the work, do what you love. Like she was saying earlier, just keep doing the work, because that's the main thing. Just do the work, because you never know who's watching. And like she was saying, when those people watch, those people who have your similar ideology, and you just connect. And now I fuck with her because I was like, be careful what you wish for, because now she's got no time to do anything else.
I'm blessed. I got some blessings going on right now.
She's got shows scheduled up till 2025. So she's in it, and that's why I really wanted you guys to meet her and hear from her firsthand, this perspective,
Yeah.
Here's a question for you, Calida. I'm assuming at some point you were painting at home, and sometimes just mentally being in your home space, you just be like, I don't want to be here doing this. So at what point did you just say, I'm gonna suffer it to be sore, and then I'm just gonna find me a space and whatever it costs, and I'm gonna just do it or whatever? Or did you say, I'm gonna reach a certain financial goal, then I'll do it?
Well, I mean, first of all, that's a very personal decision on how you do it. I definitely painted in my kitchen, and all my friends, I had a little area off my kitchen. And my close friends, everyone knows my studio in my kitchen. You know what I mean? And then I took one of these bedrooms. My two girls, I live in this place with my daughters. I had them. You all share a bedroom, and I got a studio in their bed and took a bedroom. They got to share a room. Y'all don't get to your own room. I got paint. So I had to create little spaces in my. I elevated. From the bedroom to that. So people, I had to go through all that. Now, I am a miser and also maybe scared sometimes. My husband's the one to kick me out of my house. He was like, you need a studio. Maybe I was growing too much in my house, taking over. He was like, you need a studio. And I'm like, we can't afford it. We got these kids. I'm not spending no money on the extra space. It was really hard. And so I had to figure it out. So I don't know what made that catalyst helped. It did help me having a separate space mentally. Because what I do, people ask me all the time, like, I live in like a condo. I've got a house here. I want to get a house. And people are always like, I'm looking for a house here. They'll say, are you going to build a studio space there? I don't think I'm disciplined enough to do it, because I will be washing clothes in between every stroke.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'll be like, I could throw that load in. And I'm playing, I could just wash these dishes. Now I leave my house with my dishes in my sink. I have to do it when I get home. But if I was home, I'd have to eat. I have to wash my dishes. I may even vacuum before I start painting.
That's why I'm trying to get out the house.
My daughter's room is a mess. Are those socks? What smells in here? I will do all that before I start painting. But now, drop my kids off at school when I go straight to my studio and my house look a mess when I leave. And that helps me work. And I deal with it when I come home. Right? But me being home, I realized I will do all these other things that are also important, and something is always going to be sacrificed. You know what I mean? Like, your house is just going to look a mess a lot of times, but you may be making more work. Or maybe y'all are much neater than my family. But that's what I do.
Yeah, you've been confirming everything I've been thinking and feeling.
It's hard. You could share shared studio spaces. You don't have to get one all on your own. You can get a good space and share it. I've done that for years.
I thought about that, but I was telling Rondell, I was like, even if I consider that, I want it to be something I know I can still afford without somebody else, because people all gung ho until it's time to pay, and then they gone.
You got to figure it out. You got to interview people. The same thing. Who you trust. Energy the same. Do y'all both wear headphones? I don't want to hear your music, or I do want to hear your music. Do you have the same? That's important too. Yeah. So you have to think about that and get a space. For many years outside, I had a studio. I had a studio mate. So I had I had 4 different people that I've shared studios with. And I had the same space, but I would just like the work. This person didn't work for me. One time I had this one, I'm gonna go too deep. It was one person I had, and they had this dog, and I didn't have a real problem, but the dog would attack me when I put the key in the door, and I was like, I'm scared to go in my studio. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm scared, I don't know if they're gonna hear, and my dog's gonna bite me. I was like, no, that's not gonna work. You know what I mean? Like, there's different things you'll learn, with different people and stuff. So you'll learn, and I had to figure out who I could work with, and I had some wonderful, and that helps. Get 3 people if you need your space outside. You rotate and have a schedule.
Yeah.
Linda mentioned soft sculpture. What's that? What's that about? I heard that. I caught that.
Yeah, me too.
I did all of these. I did a lot of work at first dealing with being a mom, or being a woman, and motherhood was definitely discerning. Like, I have, again, kids. I got like 4 children. I have my stepson that came and lived with me when he was 7. He's now old. I think he's 20. I'm in denial that he's like almost 30 something. But I have right now a 17-year-old in my place, a 14-year-old, and a 7-year-old. Right? They're in my house right now. These 3 left. Right? And I was doing this piece in my head of just finishing breastfeeding, really. So I had all these extra breast pads, like the pads you put in there so you milk, so I was like, so I created this big sculpture with these extra breast pads, because I'm like one of those people that I go to Costco and get too much stuff, right? I bought like a year's worth probably of breast pads, but then I didn't even hardly breastfeed more than 4 months, right? Because I was like, I can't take this, right? So all that, what am I gonna do with these? And I made this beautiful sculpture with the breast pads. And it would look like a flower, and it was just thinking of that, of me being a source of life and energy and milk, and I was producing something, and I had it, and I made this beautiful sculpture that's still on the top in my storage thing. I have to pull it out. I'll pull it out.
So we can't see it. We can't see it on a digital platform.
It literally crawls up the wall. It's stunning.
Yeah, crawls up the wall with these
fucking
pads.
Stunning. Yeah.
And they had I realized there was some breast pads that came in pink. So it kind of looks like a nipple. So it was like this breast that moved up the wall. And I made it right in this, like the nip with the pink breast pads in there. It looks like flower petals. It's like flower petals with everywhere. But it really started from, I had all these breast pads. What am I going to, and then it became an art form, and I had it, and it was, and it did crawl awesome up the wall. It's huge. And I made this piece, and I have to pull it out. I don't even know if I have a professional shot of it. I'd have to look. But yeah, it was me thinking of that, and in that time, me being and trying to figure it out. I really did a lot of work at a time of me trying to where I am. I definitely put my own headspace in my work. How I'm feeling, how I'm reacting to things. That becomes a part of the piece in somewhere, where I am, what I'm,
Well,
that was it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm mixed medium way. Yeah, I do a lot of I do known for my paintings, but I definitely will pull out some material sometimes. I like the idea of like a 3D. I just haven't been there yet, but it'll come out when it's necessary. Just like the scale of the work changes, I'm sure in time, materials will go in. When I was in undergrad, I was at Spelman College in painting, and that's how I knew Amy. We were painting together. We were in the same painting classes, and a lot of my work at the time was multimedia. I would put materials. I like that. I've moved away and just honed on painting, but I'm pretty sure in time it'll come back. The necessary to have it textured. But now, a lot of times, even when I start, I'm like, why? I always think, is it necessary? Sometimes I don't want to do it just to do it.
Yeah.
So I just think when it's time, it'll come.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's about I don't know if you've heard about, there's this artist that sold a sculpture. It's invisible. Have you heard about that?
No, but that sounds kind of cool.
I was just asking because it's about confidence in your artwork. Because when I heard about that and how much it sold for, it kind of like messed up my confidence a lot. And I mean, I still do my artwork because like I feel like I have to, because it's like my artwork is my life. Like it's like if I don't do art, then I'm not here. So I was asking like as far as your work and your confidence, like have you ever like felt like you lost confidence in your work, and like how did you build it back up if you did?
Well, I would say try not to lose confidence in what other people are doing. It's kind of like looking at like Instagram and everyone's happy. You know, no one's showing pictures of them crying. Like, you know, like everyone has like, don't let like what's happening to others like make you think that it's something to do with you, because everyone's presenting in a certain way out there, you know, and it make like, everyone looks like they're doing good. Everyone looks like they got all this money. Everyone, it's an illusion, right? And don't let that take that in. The conceptual work took a minute for me to get sometimes, and I'm feeling what you're saying. This invisible sculpture is like, some people could look at it and be like, that's a con, right? But maybe it is a conceptual concept that is amazing. I don't know of that sculpture you're talking about, but conceptual art is fascinating the more you study it, and I appreciate it. I appreciate the idea behind the work. I remember I was in New York. I went to this show and I saw these little small, I have to figure out who the artist is. I need to know it because it influenced me very much, where someone had like these little small squares and they were just all these flat colors, just all next to each other. And they were just a different range of color. And I saw the prices and I was like, what is that? And then I saw the title, which was called Phases of a Bruise. And then I stepped back and then I looked, and it did look like all the colors and phases of a bruise to me. Awesome. And then I got it. And I was like, this is brilliant. But when I first saw it, they were just these colors, you know, and I was just like, I'm sitting here with my little brush. But I got it. It meant it, and I got it. And the conceptual part of it was just as important as the piece, and together it worked. Now, I don't know the artist with the invisible sculpture, but I'm fascinated to see, like, maybe I will see something. Maybe if I stare long enough at light particles, I'll see shapes. You know, I don't know. Maybe they'll give me something if I read about it that will make my brain grow and think and understand better. Maybe I will grow from this experience. And maybe looking at the world in a different way is the art. And what is there? What isn't? What do you see? What don't you see? You can't see feelings, but I know love is real. You know, I can't see it. You know, it's invisible. Maybe he's paying, you know, the invisible love. I don't know. I would have to read it. You know what I mean? The visibility of love, and there, not there. You know, you can mentally go there, and that does deserve and have a value. So I try to go open, especially with conceptual work. I try to go open. You know, there was an artist who I definitely admire, Todd Gray. You know, Todd Gray's work is an amazing artist. And he did this conceptual piece of, there was, I don't remember what it was called, but like he wore the work of someone that passed away. His dear friend had passed away for a year after they died. He wore their clothes. And even though it didn't fit, and every time you saw him, he was in these clothes. And at first I was like, what is that? He's wearing the clothes and that's art? That's interesting, right? And it wasn't until my cousin passed away and I went to her house and she had all these clothes and I took them with me. And for a while I was mourning her, I would wear her clothes, and it wasn't even my style, but I felt closer to her. I felt like I was taking her with me. And I understood Todd Gray's that work much better, of you know, the presence of them with you, and that idea and that concept was pretty amazing. And I told him one day when I saw him, I was like, you know what? I wear my, like, and I think of you. When I wore I was closer to this artist and I understood them, you know?
Mm-hmm. I didn't think
sometimes
of it like that.
sometimes that's what I'm saying. But sometimes we can't knock it because we'll be like, that's, you know, what is that? That's dumb. I don't get that. Or that doesn't sound right. How much they spending? But sometimes like we just have to be open and we got to try. Everyone comes with judgment, and everyone like, and a lot of us, we just don't get, I don't get some stuff too, but I try to go in when I don't get it, is just to study it more. And maybe it's worth $10 million. I'm gonna go around and look at some invisible paintings today. I mean, sculptures today. I'm gonna look at a lot of invisible ones. I don't know.
Well, it's always hard to, I mean, for me to close out sessions because, it's just like good energy and, everybody's vibing, but again, it's one of those things where Lyndon, I hope that you feel a little bit, not rewarded, but comfortable that we finally like did one of these. No, I'm talking about that. There's some gratification.
I love it, bro. I'm wondering when's the next one because this is awesome.
Yeah, well, it's possible. I think this is a framework, and now we have a framework to do something. It's a programmatic framework, and so just trying to figure out when the next one is and just do it, like you said. Just knock it out, and got to get the first one under your belt, and and learn from it. I'm gonna send out to some of the participants here. I'm gonna be reaching out to get y'all insights on like how we can reshape this if necessary. If it's great and golden like this, just run with it. And if if we need some tweaking, we'll do that. And again, thank you, Calida, Ms. Rawles, for showing up and just sharing your world. I mean, and like I said, you never know what you get, and then you're getting it, and this is great. And so I appreciate
Thank you.
Spending the time.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
Thank you,
I was
Calida.
gonna say thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for
so
coming.
much.
It's
Yeah,
really
everybody for showing.
Thank you. For
Yeah,
real.
I love seeing Rhea. I love seeing Courtney, even though she's driving. Look at the road.
She's making it happen. She's still here and driving. Go ahead, girl.
One thing you mentioned, you guys are talking about studio visit. I mean, that's another kind of programmatic thing that we can do is show up for a critique session and people jump in and share a piece of artwork, and then we can have a conversation about it. And that could be a whole nother artist talk-ish kind of session going on.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
a lot of stuff could spin off
A
from
lot of
this.
avenues this can go, man. Like I say, there's people
Exactly.
in every discipline. So let's just keep it going.
All right. Well,
Thank you very much.
Thanks for giving up time on your Saturday too, y'all.
Thank you.
Exactly.
Brains
Thank you.
expanded now.
Good. Thank you so much. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I appreciate y'all listening. Now I'm gonna go take care of these kids. Go take them, drive them somewhere. That's what I got to do. Drive somebody.
Going down to the
Okay.
beach.
Right.
Oh, go down the beach. We need to
We
go.
get with your
There
peanut
you
butter
go.
sandwiches.
Yeah, peanut butter and jelly.
That's right.
Strawberry preserve.
On the way to
Not
a
really
sleepover.
no great.
No,
Huh?
great.
no, great.
Okay, no
See
great.
you guys. Have a good
They
one.
don't like
Thank
the
you.
great. Bye, y'all. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Thank you. See you later.